As an artist, I feel like this building tip should have been obvious to me from the start, but I didn't realize it until I was many years into building. The single most helpful tool that I've found to improve my own buildings quickly is to use references from real life. Okay, so you might have already heard this tip before, but there's a reason why it's so effective and so repeated across so many Minecraft YouTube videos. In fact, I would go even further and say that the fastest way to improve at any form of art is to observe and replicate, but modify. There's a reason why in art classes your first drawings won't be drawing from memory. They'll be in a big room drawing a fruit bowl or some other similar still life model. Which kind of brings me to the next point of this video.
Learning fundamentals.
Okay, so I brought up traditional art classes, and that can be very intimidating for some people to have this kind of formalized look about Minecraft building. But I think it's important to look at things from a kind of artistic perspective, because building itself is more and more becoming an artistic discipline. The problem that most people face when they start a build is what I like to call the Lego trap. You have the general idea of a house in your head, 4 walls, a triangular roof maybe, a chimney, so you start placing blocks based on that mental blueprint. But here's the secret, and this is the same in drawing. Your brain is a master at oversimplifying things. It remembers the general concept of a house, but not the details of one. This is why beginner builds often look like flat, monochromatic boxes. You aren't building a house, you're building your brain's kind of low-resolution icon of a house. That is to say, you don't really remember details all that well. But this is where it gets really important. The power of observation can't lie to you. When you use a real-life reference, say a photo of like a 19th century craftsman home, you aren't just copying, you're downloading data. There's an objective place where that window is, and there's an objective part of the roof that the chimney comes out of, and it's all very intentional and it's all very functional. And our brains have learned to interpret that as a good-looking building. And by replicating these real-world rules, you're kind of bypassing the struggle of having to invent aesthetics and going straight to the part where you're learning how different parts fit together and how to be the most ergonomical and efficient. And in doing so, you're learning how to make your building's designs aesthetically pleasing and functional. So that's the first part of using a reference image. Observation. You should observe all the little details and try to absorb as much of it as you can. It shouldn't be too difficult. You should decide what kind of building you want to build and pull up 3 or 4 reference images. Now you can follow these reference images as closely or as loosely as you want. And if you're doing something like a complete recreation of like the Up House or Avengers Tower, you can follow it pretty much to the T. If you're doing something more like a Victorian house or something that people wouldn't recognize, you can be a little looser with your style and put your own spin on things. Now, here's where you observe something. I want you to pick out some specific details out of this thing, like pillars or the windows or the texture of the wood on the wall, and just think about how you would recreate that in Minecraft. Could you use banners for the shutters? How can you flip it on its head so it's kind of unexpected, but in a way that still looks good? You can look at the background objects in the photo, like how this tree obscures the front of the house. You could look and observe the imbalance of the house with how the pillars are kind of uneven on each side, and one of the towers is a lot taller than the other. You could even notice how these 2 trees kind of cut it up into the rule of thirds and frame the doorway in order to make it look slightly larger than it actually is. So you're taking all these observations down and you're making note of them, what you like, what you dislike, and you're adding them to your Minecraft build. Now this is the iterative process. You look at it, and if you like it, you keep it. And if you aren't exactly satisfied with it, you go at it and try again. But I recommend eventually stopping. There's this thing called the 85% rule. When you feel like you're about 85% done with something that has no set deadline, but it has a definitive start and finish to it, and has a certain level of polish to it, you are done. You should release it into the world. And if you're an extreme perfectionist, it's okay to always return to this project, but you should be done for now. And don't beat yourself up if it's not perfect, because your first project never is. You should always keep trying, no matter what. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it and learned a little bit about building. These videos take an enormous effort to make, animate, and edit together, so if you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing, but if not, I hope you have a wonderful day anyways. This is Daedalus Designs, signing off.